So for today, I wanted to show you some techniques for laying out and carving your Pueblo designs into your coil pots. So I've got a few things here in front of me. I've got my decorated pot where I've painted in the areas of color with the different colors of slip. And I've got some tools. I have a pencil with the lead pushed back into the tip. I have my loop tool, the small loop tool with the round end on it, and also some paper clips. Okay, so these are some of the basic tools we're going to use today to carve some Pueblo designs in. So the first step that I want you to think about is the layout. So what I do to lay things out is I just mark the top where I'm going to kind of divide my space up. So I put a little mark here with the pencil very lightly. I just want to barely scratch the slip. I don't want to put a big dark mark in. And then I go to the opposite side of the pot and I make another mark that's opposite. So now I've got my pot divided in half. And then if I want to divide it into four, I just move over here to in between this side and this other mark. And then I pick the spot that's in between that and I put another little mark there. And then I would do the same on the opposite side. So now I've got it divided into four sections. If I want to divide it into 8 sections, all I have to do is go in between each of those marks and find the halfway point and put another mark. So then I'd have it divided into 8. Now if you want to do a diagonal, what you would do is you would mark it here, one of your marks, and then drop a line down to the bottom and put a mark right down below it. And then depending on the angle of your diagonal, let's say I move over maybe an inch or two, and I put a mark here. So when I connect a line down from the top, instead of going straight down, I go down from this mark to the one that I measured over a little bit, and that'll give me a diagonal line. You can lay a piece of notebook paper, a little strip of notebook paper down along that line to follow the curve, and you can trace it if you want to get a straight line. So that's one way to do kind of the quick layout. The other thing you can do is if you're doing horizontal lines, you can set your pencil on top of something and you can just rotate it, kind of like how we trimmed off the top of the pot. So you just set a pencil down on top of a container or something and then just turn your pot around and make a scratched line. That'll give you a nice horizontal. That's how I created these two horizontal lines here where I changed the color from the chocolate brown to the reddish brown. So you can draw guidelines on whatever your shapes or your basic layout of areas that you're going to be carving designs into. And then you're going to get into the carving. So tools that you want to use, the loop tool with the big circular loop is going to make a broad or a wider kind of line when you carve. And then the nice thing about a paper clip is that you can use it just like it is. This side has a small loop. It's just like your loop tool. You could also bend it out and use the smaller side, this one, and that will give you a smaller loop tool. You can even kind of squeeze that end together a little bit and make an even smaller loop so that you can get smaller lines. The only way I don't want you to use this is like this, is where you straighten it out and turn it into just a stick and use the tip of that to scratch your designs in. It's going to make a really nerdly looking line and it's not going to show very well and you tend to go too deep with it. So if you want to make really fine lines, use the loop end and just squeeze it together until you get the small enough loop to get your line that you want. Okay, to carve these, it's really pretty simple. All you want to do is you want to carve through the layer of color to get to what's below it, which is the normal color of the clay. So as I was doing this one, I'm actually carving right over this edge here where the two colors on mine meet. So it kind of makes the edge look a little nicer. I have a few little spots where it's not perfect, so I'm just doing a little wavy line there, and that's going to make that edge nice and crisp. I'll have my reddish brown up above and my chocolate brown down below. And then I also divided mine into some sections here, so you can see where I've got this area in between. I put a line down here and a line down here. Now I can get inside of these and I can start carving design patterns that I've come up with. So I could even design this to go, if I wanted to, I could break this into smaller pieces and maybe go down like this and then down like this, and I could work my way across to the other side. Okay, so I'm carving a wavy line because I want to. It's a choice. And then I could start carving some things into here with the bigger loop tool if I wanted to. And I'm doing a little more of a random pattern here, but still structured. And you're just scraping off enough of that color so that you can see the pattern. And we don't want to dig too deep, so I'm kind of angling the tool this way, not carving straight in where I'm scooping out a big giant piece of clay. I just want to scrape off the actual surface color and just leave that color from the behind coming through. So that should be enough to get you started with carving. I will be a little bit late coming to class because I'm in a meeting today, but you can get started laying out and maybe carving some of the basics, and then if you have questions about more details or other things that you want me to show you how to do, I'll talk about that when I get back, but this should be enough to get you started. Make sure that you've allowed the slip to dry until it's not sticky, and your little crumbs and scraps are not going to stick to a wet slip. So this is about leather hard now, like the rest of the pot, and I can carve and I don't have to worry about my crumbs sticking to wet slip. So that's it for now. We'll talk more when I come back. Have fun.